Hello, my name is Olivia Vanderweist, and what's your name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. Nice to meet you, Rebecca. How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
Good. Awesome. So is Rebecca how you'd like me to refer to you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. So, just to begin with, I'm going to start with a little housekeeping, some general information about how things are going to go. I have a consent form that I'm going to ask you to sign if you're comfortable. Basically, it just says that I'm a student and we will be videotaping this session today if you're comfortable with that, just for my professor to evaluate and just for my learning experience. It also goes over confidentiality. Everything that you say here is going to say confidential, except in the case of if there is any indication of harm to yourself or to others, then I'll have to report that. Otherwise, everything stays here between us. I'm going to be going over a biopsychosocial assessment today, which basically is a big fancy word to say that we're just going to talk about your life. We're going to talk about a lot of things in the past. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And it's just so that I can get a better view and a holistic picture of who you are. So do you have any questions about anything?
I don't think so right now.
Okay. So I'm just going to have you fill out the little client information and then sign when you're ready.
Okay. What's the date?
It is September 9th.
Oh, 0909.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Thank you very much. Alrighty. You ready? Awesome. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
You need anything? Water?
I have water
Okay,
here.
perfect. So, tell me why you're here today.
Well, I was talking to a friend and I was telling her about how I've been having a lot of things going on. I just graduated college and I am working full time, and it's just been a lot, and I've just been feeling really down. And I don't really have a whole lot of friends right now, and don't really have a whole lot of people to talk to, so it's just been a little hard.
Gotcha. So you were talking to your friend. Is that how you found out about these services?
Yeah, she told me that I should talk to someone.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And when did you start feeling this way?
That's a hard question, because it's sometimes I feel good, sometimes I feel a little better, like not as down.
Mm-hmm. So it's not constant.
Yeah, it depends on if I'm busy.
Okay.
Because I would say when I'm alone, kind of is when it's like really hard to deal with like my emotions and my thoughts and things. But I've always kind of had low moments, like even when I was like really happy and had a lot of things going on, like sometimes I still would be a little bit sad.
Okay.
It was a little bit better when I was in school, but
It's gotten progressively worse since you graduated, would you say? Gotcha. How would you say those feelings were different when you were in school? How did it feel different?
I felt a little happier because I had more people around me, people that I could call and hang out with.
Right.
If I was having a hard day, then I could call them and we could hang out. I had lots of roommates because I lived on campus, and now I live back with my parents. So yeah, I had things going on all the time, so I really didn't have a whole lot of time to just kind of sit and like in my own thoughts, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Like I was always around other people.
So you had more distractions. Were those feelings still present in those times, or not at all?
Sometimes, but I would just kind of call someone.
Okay, so you had that support, and now what's different is you don't feel like you have that support as much anymore?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
I've also gained a little bit of weight since graduating, and I don't really like the way I look right now. And yeah, sometimes I look at myself and it just makes me really sad.
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
Well, I've always kind of worried about how I look. Because I've always been a little bit chubbier. And so like when I was like in middle school, I would wear a lot of like oversized clothes and things like that. And so it was something I always worried about, but then when I got to high school, I kind of dieted a little bit and lost more weight and things, and kind of maintained it throughout college because I was always busy and moving and things. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of sometimes when I'm sad, I eat a lot.
Okay.
So
is that something that you've done your entire life, or is that a newer thing? Eating when you're sad?
I would say it's more consistent now.
More consistent, like you do it more now than you ever did it before? Okay.
Yeah, before I would do it like maybe like once every 2 months or something like that. And then now I do it like every other day.
Every other day. And do you remember when that started? When you started that habit?
I don't remember like exact time. Probably like my last semester of school, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. And so like, would you say like a year ago would that be?
Yeah.
About a year ago. Yeah. Have you ever received services like this? Have you ever been to therapy or counseling before?
One time my roommates were worried about me, so they told one of the people on campus, and then they came and talked to me a little bit. But I wasn't too bad, so I didn't really talk to her too much after that. Maybe 2 or 3 times.
So was she like a counselor that was on campus?
Yeah, I think so.
Gotcha. So you said you only met with her a couple times? How did that go?
It was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
They weren't very long sessions. It was like 30 minutes maybe. Cause she didn't have a whole lot of time in her schedule. Cause I remember she had asked me when I was available, and then I'd have to say if this time worked, cause I had class whenever she would ask me and things. So it wasn't for
it's
very
hard
long.
to schedule around you guys' different schedules. Okay. I'm going to switch to talk a little bit about your family. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up?
Yeah, so I had 2 older siblings growing up, and I live with my mom and dad right now, but they were always there growing up too. So you're asking about my childhood?
Yeah, so like, how were your parents growing up? What were your relationships like with your siblings? Stuff like that.
So my older sister was kind of bossy.
What's her name?
Marie.
Marie. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. She was kind of bossy.
Yeah, she was kind of bossy when I was younger, so we didn't get along super well.
Yeah.
And my brother, we talk a lot, because he lives at home now too. So we hang out a lot and play video games and things.
He's younger than you?
He's older than me.
He's older than you.
And then...
And what was his name?
His name is Josh.
Josh and Marie and Rebecca.
They call me Becca. They call me a whole bunch of stuff. They call me Becca, Bex, all the things.
Cool.
So yeah, so growing up, my brother and I were always really close because we were closer in age. And then my sister and I never really got along too much. We shared a room. That was really hard. And then as we got older, we're a little bit closer now. Like, I talk to her more about like my problems and things.
So would you say it was mostly just like classic sibling fights, or something more than that between you and your sister?
Yeah, probably
like
classic
sibling stuff. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So yeah, that's what things are like growing up. And then my relationship with my parents was okay growing up, because sometimes I was very sensitive when I was younger, and so sometimes I would want to like just get upset and I would want to cry, just about like things like my brother and sister weren't being nice. Like sometimes I would cry, like even if I was older, like 6 or 7. And then my dad would tell me no, like I shouldn't be crying over that. And so then it kind of like made me stop wanting to be open with them about how I felt.
Yeah.
So that was a little hard sometimes. Sometimes I would talk to my mom about it as I got older, but I wouldn't really tell my dad things.
Your mom was more open with emotional stuff, you'd say?
Yeah, she's a good listener. So she was good at just like listening and like reassuring. And then my dad usually was more like giving like a response of like how to help or how to fix this or like stop crying. And like when I'm feeling like that, like that's not helpful. Like I just need someone to listen and be there.
Right.
And so I wouldn't really talk to him too much growing up. Now it's like a little bit better, but now that I'm older, like I don't need to be talking to them all the time, which kind of is better, even though like we live together. Like I kind of have like a little more boundaries with them, and I think that makes things a lot better for us.
That's good. How is it, that relationship living at home?
So living at home, I would say like, because like I said, we do better now. Right. But what makes living at home hard is that I don't really have my own space. Like I have my own room and I can redecorate it because I used to share it with my sister. So like I've completely redone it. And so it feels a lot more like my space, but it's still like hard. Like if I go in the living room, like my family might be there, or if I want to watch a movie, like they might want to join me. And sometimes I just want alone time, and so it's hard like being in this house with so many rooms, but like feeling constricted to one room because I don't want to be interrupted.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any like extended family that you were really close with growing up or now?
I would say there's extended family that I spent a lot of time with, but not that I like actually am
played a
close
significant role in your life.
Yeah.
Necessarily. Okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things did you like to do as a family?
Well, when I was younger, we used to play a lot of like games. So we used to do a lot of like video games or board games. We used to go to a lot of museums. And we do family trips a lot of times, which were fun and then sometimes not so fun.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So sometimes my dad, he's very impatient. So sometimes, like the last time I went to Disney with all of them, he got like impatient, didn't want to be like at the park anymore because he was just like, I've been on everything, like I don't want to do anymore. But then me and my sister like wanted to keep going on the rides because we could ride all the rides like a bazillion times a day.
Right.
Like it's just we love being at Disney. It's just fun.
Yeah.
So he would just like get impatient, and that's not fun. And then when I was younger, like my sister, like she was always bossy when I was like 5, 6, like in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
But then as we both got older, because we get older at the same time,
one stopped getting older,
yeah.
the other catched up.
Yeah, as we both got older, she would, because she was like in middle school when I was still like in older elementary, her just like puberty and like hormones and like all her changes, like she was just terrible during that time. Like that transition was just really hard, like on the whole house. It was just the worst.
Yeah.
And so sometimes if we did family trips during that time, it'd be so annoying, especially because she likes to get her way on things. That's why she's bossy, because she just wants her things.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would like if she wanted to go somewhere and my parents said no, like she would throw almost like a temper tantrum, but she was like 14.
Oh, really?
So it just like would be frustrating because it just would throw her off the rest of the day. So those would be like the not so fun parts of the vacation. But then of course there's like the other parts that like were fun, and like when we get to go exploring or whatever we would do.
Did you go through a similar phase like that as your sister, or not really?
I mean, there was a time where I was very, like, I always want my space.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, sometimes I just want to be alone.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't respect that. And so I kind of would, like, get mad sometimes.
Right.
I know sometimes they do it because they worried about me if I'm spending a whole lot of time alone in my room and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, maybe I was as bad as her.
No, she was worse.
Different from your own perspective.
Right. Oh, goody. So growing up, can you remember if there was anything like developmentally that you had challenges with? Or not really?
I don't think so.
No.
Like my brother and sister, they both went to like pre-K, like at the elementary school, because they had some developmental delays, but I didn't. So I just went to like a paid preschool. So I don't think I had anything.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. How about, is there any like major events in your life that just really stick out in your brain?
There are a few. So I gotta think of, like, I try to narrow it down.
Okay.
A big event was when my sister went to college, just because it changed the family dynamic.
Yeah.
And I was glad to have my own space, but then I felt like she almost like left me because that was the time that I had a really bad relationship with my parents. I was like 12 or 13, so like that was around the time where I was experiencing those like hormonal and like puberty changes and things. And so my parents, like, when I was at that age, I felt like they were prying a lot, asking a lot of questions, and like now I know they were just trying to make conversation. But at that age, it's just kind of it doesn't feel like that. And when she left, I kind of had to fend for myself because she would sometimes be there to defend me, especially like with clothes, because I used to just like wear what I wanted to wear, which was like I said, like the baggier clothes and things, or like she would defend me and my body and say like, oh no, like Rebecca looks fine, like she is doing great. And so when she wasn't there, my parents kind of would get on me a little more on like that I was gaining weight, or like, why do you wear these outfits? Like you could wear a different outfit. Or like when they would cry and I would get upset because I just didn't want to hear it. Or like if I was quiet, like they would be like, why are you in a mood? And I wasn't in a mood. And so those were things that they wouldn't necessarily ask when
she was around.
Yeah. Or she could like defend me or like redirect.
Yeah. Okay.
Because my brother, he's a guy, so he doesn't like, he never saw like the importance in that stuff or an issue with it, so he never really did that.
But you were closer with your brother, or was that more in the younger ages that you were closer?
Yeah, like I was closer with him in the sense that I would hang out with him more and we don't argue as much.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
You don't have as deep of a relationship, but like it was more pleasant.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Because with my sister, I would tell her things, but I would have very, I wouldn't say clear guidelines, because I feel like sometimes I wasn't as nice either, and I would throw her off.
Okay.
Because like sometimes especially when she was in college, sometimes she would just call me, and I didn't like that, and so I would tell her no. But then sometimes I would just call her and expect her to be available, and usually she was. And so I had a train of thought and I lost it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We were talking about how you're pleasant with your brother, but you have a deeper relationship with your sister.
Right. Yes. So I would throw her off with the boundaries.
Okay.
And so there would be, so like I would expect things or like want things from her, but then not do the same back. Okay. Which wasn't always very nice. But but anytime I would talk to her, like I would always be very honest with her about what was happening and be very open and those kind of things. But like sometimes she might say something and it might irritate me and I can't explain why. But it just would. Or it just like would make me feel low. And like I know she didn't mean to say anything, but sometimes it just would really bother me.
Trigger those spiral downward.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because of that, I'd say I don't have a good relationship with her, but maybe it's because I don't know how to manage triggers with her.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. That's very insightful. Wow. Have you ever been diagnosed with any mental illnesses, or I mean you only you saw a counselor one time, right? There was no like mental health diagnosis that you know of?
I don't think so.
No.
It's very hard to remember that because it was very short.
Okay.
I remember she had said something about being concerned I might hurt myself.
Okay.
And that I was
Was that ever a consideration in your life?
sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes more of like I want to not be here anymore, but not like I would really want to hurt myself. Because that is kind of scary. That's a lot.
Right. So is it more thinking about it rather than a plan to act on it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Does your family have any history of any mental health issues or anything you know of?
I don't think so. Sometimes I think my dad has anger management issues.
Yeah.
But he is not anything diagnosed.
Has he ever received help for that in any way?
I wouldn't say professionally.
Gotcha. Just social support.
Yeah, because he goes to church. So I would say maybe spiritual healing almost, or talking to other people and from there working on it.
Gotcha. So did you grow up going to church?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Tell me about that, about your experience with.
Well, it was nice sometimes and then hard other times. That's another way that I kind of had a low moment in my life was when we changed churches. Because my dad was the pastor of a church we went to for a long time, and I had a really good friend group there. And then we just left. And I know, because at the time my sister was older. She was 15. That would have made my brother 12-ish, and then I was 10. Okay. And so they both were a little bit older and kind of understood a little bit better. Because for me, I just felt like I was being abandoned. Mm-hmm. Or yeah, because I had that really good friend group, and then we went to this new church, and it just was not.
It wasn't the same.
It was, yeah, but the girls there are so mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't like that.
Did you ever find out why you guys moved churches?
Yeah, my parents said because the old church was too much for them. When I was younger, I didn't really understand. I just knew we were changing churches, and it was hard.
What does too much mean?
They were co-pastors.
Okay.
So
workload, it was too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, it was 40 minutes away. So that drive every Sunday was hard.
Yeah.
And it was a traditional Hispanic church, and if you've never been to one, they have church all the time. They do a Saturday, they do a Wednesday, they do a Friday service, they do a Sunday night service. It's just so much.
Yeah.
And it's it's not even a fun Wednesday service. When you
and
have
you went to all of them?
Well, because we lived far, we didn't.
Okay.
Which was good, but then also hard for my parents sometimes because they want to be there.
Right.
They wanted to be there. And sometimes I wanted to be there too, to be with my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't even fun services. They would have big church, and then me and my friends would sit in the back in one of the pews and just talk.
Yeah, really?
We just play and talk. So that would be fun for me. But I know my sister said that she didn't. She didn't like it because she didn't have a friend group there. And my brother was getting to the age where all his friends were too young for him, so
Mm.
it wasn't a good place for the rest of my family, but for me it was. And so it was really hard for me when I left, and I would consider that like a really low point in my life.
So the church that you moved to after that church, do you still go there? Do you still attend there?
Yeah. I'm trying to find somewhere else to go, but I don't know.
Is that where your family goes?
Yeah, my parents and my brother go there, yeah.
How come you're trying to find somewhere else? Just
Well, I don't know how much you know about church, but a lot of times families just, like, if they find a church, they just stay there. So, like, it's not like school where there's, like, a change in people or not all the time, but, like, from year to year, sometimes there's a change in people.
Right.
But in church, it's a lot of times the same people. And so, like, when I first got there, the girls were really mean to me.
Mm-hmm.
And those girls, I kind of learned how to, like, get along better with some of them. Some of them I kind of misjudged a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the way that they communicate and some of their ideals. And so because of my age, like if I ever join a Bible study group or something like that, I'm probably going to be with them. And so I just want to find a different group of people.
Old place.
Yeah.
Different group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Tell me about your friend life. Do most of your friends come from church or elsewhere?
No. The friend group I was telling you about, they don't. I kind of still keep in touch with them, but not too much.
Oh, from
the
your
church.
previous church. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, because it just was hard to kind of stay in touch when I was young because I didn't really have phone at the time, so I didn't really stay in touch with them as I grew up. And so as I got older and was like at the age that I had a phone, it was kind of weird at that point because we hadn't talked in so long and we weren't as consistent anymore. So my friends now are from college, so they were some of my roommates, some of the people that I just met and talked to a little bit, but a lot of them live out of state now.
Because most of you graduated.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah. So because of that, I don't really talk to them all that much. Because I've never been really good at using my phone.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to stay in touch long distance.
Right.
And
When
use
you're
my
not
phone
face to face all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's difficult. So I'm going to jump back to your childhood again for a little bit. And tell me about how school was for you.
I was about to say it was pretty good, and then I remembered that some of the hard parts.
Yeah.
Elementary school was good. I feel like elementary school is good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it's just...
everybody's friends, not too difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I could go back.
Yeah, I feel that. That would be nice.
So, middle school is where I had problems, because I always had good grades.
Okay.
That was something my parents always had an expectation of. And so when I got to middle school, it got harder, and that was a difficult adjustment. And then I got made fun of. And then as I got to high school, because I lost a little bit of weight, and then I was a little more curvy. So a lot of guys would be inappropriate and like lots of sexual comments and things, and that just made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So socially, I didn't like school a lot. So when I did dual enrollment and I started college, I liked that a lot more because Sometimes I would still get hit on, but for the most part in my classes, people were a little more focused.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't as much attention on my body.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
So academically, didn't struggle a lot at all?
Mm-mm.
No. It was more socially some struggle.
Yeah, and like emotionally, like with the schoolwork, sometimes I would struggle, but I would always get it done. I would always get a good grade, because otherwise that would make my parents mad, and then that would be frustrating, and I just didn't want to deal with it.
Right. So you graduated college, and you said that you have a full-time job now?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you working?
I work for a social media company.
Tell me about that. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really cool because I have a lot of flexibility and they pay me really well. But it's a lot on my own. I don't get a lot of interaction, which is hard because we work remote.
Okay. So
So
you don't go into an office at all?
not too much. Sometimes if my boss wants me to go in, I do, but it doesn't happen too much. And if it is, it's just like us two in the office, really. Because we do have a small staff, which is kind of nice because we all know each other. But then we don't really talk much during work hours because we're remote.
What kind of things do you do?
I post a lot of quotes because that's what our page is about. It's all about encouragement things, which is helpful sometimes, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's not easy for everyone to just be joyful and be positive. So sometimes it's hard when I'm having like a bad day or a bad week. And I'm like looking at all these quotes and I feel like I can't really relate to them.
Yeah. Sometimes a quote doesn't just fix your problems like we wish it could.
Right.
Yeah. So you said that you get paid pretty well. How do you feel financially right now yearly?
I feel pretty good. Because I live with my parents, I save up a lot of money, so that's nice. The main reason I live with them is to save up so that I can buy instead of rent.
That's smart.
So, yeah, that's the goal.
How about growing up? How was your family with regards to finances?
I don't know, it's weird. Because I felt like when we were at our church, I felt like we were rich. But when I was at school, I felt like we were not poor, but like lower middle class almost.
Interesting.
So, and then my parents, we always had everything that we needed. And a lot of times we had things we wanted, which is not something every kid can say.
Right.
But if sometimes there would be things that we wanted and my parents would be like, oh no, we don't have money for that, like we're tight. Or, oh no, we can't do this because we're tight right now.
Yeah.
So that always made me feel like we didn't have a lot of money. And like with college and stuff, like my sister was always worried about getting scholarships and things and felt like she couldn't go to school if she didn't do well on her grades because she needed it for college. And that's why I got nervous too with my grades and things, but also my parents always would get on us if we had bad grades. And so that it made it weird because I know now that I'm older, like they talk about finances more openly. Like they just paid off their house, which is really cool. So they're doing really good now. And so like now like my dad is more open with me to like how much he actually makes, and so we're really more like upper middle class right now. But growing up, like because of where they came from. Like, my parents immigrated over from the Dominican Republic, and so when they came here, they didn't have a whole lot.
Okay.
So because of that, they were almost trying to avoid debt all the time, and so because
Super
of that,
conscious.
they were very, and so because of that, sometimes I would feel like I was almost lower class with how, like, conscious they were.
It was almost more like a mindset than
Right.
a reality.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like having parents that immigrated to America?
It's cool, but then I also feel kind of out of place.
Mm.
Because I don't, like, when I'm with, like, extended family, I almost feel like a fake.
Mm.
Or even when I'm around other, like, Hispanics, it makes me feel fake. Tell
me about that.
Yeah, so my parents both speak Spanish. And so they tried to teach us Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the three of us, my sister probably knows Spanish the best.
Okay.
Like, she can probably translate and hold a conversation much better than I can.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom's family all speaks Spanish. They don't really speak much English at all because they all live in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And so I kind of I felt like a phony because, like, I couldn't speak my own, like, native language.
Right.
So it's, like, really cool to see that they came here and, like, did well for themselves and, like, sought out opportunities for us, which I'm really grateful for. But I kind of feel bad almost because I don't think I'll be able to carry that on if I have a family.
Mm.
Or at least not in the same way.
Right.
And then especially if I marry someone who's not Hispanic, like, that's going to be a lot harder.
Right.
So, yeah, sometimes I feel like a phony in that sense. But otherwise, like, it's pretty cool. We grew up in South Florida, so pretty diverse down there. Mm. So we didn't have too many issues or, like, my mom getting her citizenship was not too difficult for her because my dad was already a citizen and all those kind of things. So
gotcha. So he was born here, or he just had already? Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and then I was born here. My brother was born here. My sister was the only one who wasn't, but she had her dual citizenship. So we never really had any worries in that sense, as some people do when they're undocumented.
Right. So your sister was born in the Dominican Republic. So did your parents? Did your parents meet there? Or how did that work? They met there.
They both grew up there.
Okay.
Because my dad was born in the U.S. and then he decided to move, or his parents decided to move back to the DR when he was born.
Okay.
Because my grandma had him when she was, like, almost 40. And so they didn't plan to have another kid at that age. And so they didn't want to raise him in the U.S. They wanted him to grow up in the DR with what they were used to.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So how else, like, did you have any other traditions or any other ways that your culture affected you?
Well, I feel like anytime someone says traditions, they always say Christmas or holidays, but, like, that's
what
the
you
biggest
think of.
They would always get together Christmas Eve. So my family and my dad's side of the family, we always get together Christmas Eve, and we open presents from our aunts and uncles, and we eat a big Christmas dinner and all that stuff. And then Christmas Day, it would just be our family. And then we would open the presents from our parents, which was cool. And another tradition that we had for a little bit, or I don't know if tradition is the right word, but we used to pray, or we used to fast every Sunday, or I think maybe it was just the first Sunday of the month. I don't remember. because we did it for a little bit, but then as we got older, we just kind of stopped. But I think maybe it was the first Sunday, and we would fast like in the morning, because for us, like me and my siblings, it'd be hard to fast the whole day. So we wouldn't eat breakfast, which normally we have like a big breakfast on Sundays, because we don't know what time we're gonna get back, because it was a long drive.
Right.
Back when we were in the old church. And so we would fast in the morning, and then we would come back, have a little devotional, and then pray, and then we would prepare the food and eat. So we had that going for a little bit.
On the first Sunday of the month. That's a special family time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that was nice for a little bit. And I think that's it. Like, we used to do like a lot more when we were little. Probably just because scheduling, like,
it's easier.
Yeah, you just take the kids, and you don't have to worry about who has work here and who has this, and so we used to go to museums and things. I think I said that earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something we would do like every weekend. Like, we would have like go to the museum, or go to the park and play and do something.
So would you say your family was pretty close growing up?
It's tough because like we had a lot of really good, really cool moments together.
Right.
But I feel like looking back, like our communication wasn't always great.
Okay.
And so like if I ever have a family, like there's a lot of things I wouldn't want to do again. Like do like what they did. Like probably like have like not make comments about weight, and maybe have a healthier diet, but not restrict.
Gotcha.
And not that my parents ever really restricted my food, but whenever like I was a little chubbier, like sometimes they would be like, "Are you sure you should eat that? Like, you probably shouldn't eat that. Why are you eating that?" And not like taking it away or saying I can't, but like shaming me.
Right. Yeah.
And I think to have a healthy relationship with food, like you probably don't want to be doing and saying those kind of things.
Yeah.
So that's probably something I would change, and then probably, I don't know, I'm not very good at figuring all that out.
That's alright. You got time.
But I don't know, because I think my siblings and I, like, we probably could have used some help.
Early on.
Yeah, like from maybe my parents or something to communicate better, because we were just not good at all three being on the same page. And I know it's normal for siblings to not get along.
Right.
But when I was younger, I just felt so neglected is not the right word. Like, not abused either, but like my sister just hurt me so much. And
Physically, emotionally.
just emotionally. I probably was the one who was more physically.
Yeah.
But yeah, emotionally, she just hurt me a lot. Like when I was younger and I like wanted to play and hang out with her, and she would tell me no, or like tell me I was doing it wrong, or like take things away from me and like snatch it out of my hand. Right. Yeah, I didn't feel good, and so that just affected me a lot of how I view her, and I know that. So I don't know. I wouldn't want like my future kids to experience that.
Right. And you felt like they were semi hands off in that situation.
Yeah.
So the last section that I have on here is just talking a little bit about medical stuff. Do you or anybody in your family have any like major medical illnesses or?
My mom has osteoporosis.
Okay.
She has like a weird, kind of like severe version of it. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know the exact details because she had fell roller skating and she broke her wrist like really bad. Like they had to do surgery on her bad, and all she did was fall.
Okay.
And so that's how they realized that she had it. So hopefully I don't get that.
It's good that they found it out, I guess, but not
Yeah.
that she fell.
Yeah.
Oh man. So nothing else that you can think of.
Not from my parents. Do you need me to tell you like extended family?
No, mostly just if there was anything with you or like your immediate family.
Yeah, I don't.
Unless there's something big
so.
that you think is important to share with your immediate or your extended family.
Honestly, I don't think so. Because I know like my aunt had like a cancer scare. But I don't know if that would directly affect me.
Gotcha.
Because of my dad's sister. I don't know. But my grandma's both fine. My grandpa had issues. He died when I was real little. But that was because he had complications from smoking.
Okay. Any other smokers in the family?
My uncle.
Yeah. Nobody in your immediate family, parents didn't
No,
smoke?
no one in my household.
Okay.
No, I can't stand the smell of like tobacco. Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah. Have you ever struggled with or used any substances?
Nah, I wouldn't say struggled. I've had alcohol here and there.
Yeah.
But I don't like it too much. It makes me sleepy.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it gets me in my feels and I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't like that too much.
So, like, how much alcohol would you say? Like, how often?
Oh, like how often? Okay. Because I was about to tell you how much depending on the drink.
Gotcha.
How often? Probably, maybe once a month.
Gotcha. So nothing that impairs your life in any way.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just like maybe once a month.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else that you feel is important that I should know about you before we wrap up?
I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I've told you so much.
But there's through a lot.
There's also a lot more I feel like I can tell you.
Well, and if you choose to continue with services, we will have time to unpack a lot of the things that you shared today. And moving forward, we won't talk about so much at such a not deep level.
Mm-hmm.
So next session, we're going to go over a treatment plan and kind of create some goals and dive a little bit deeper into some of the issues that you discussed. And yeah, hopefully it'll be a little more interesting.
Okay.
And so yeah, do you have any other questions before we finish up?
I don't think so. Cause when is the next session?
Yeah. So does this same time next week work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you head out to the main lobby, there will be a receptionist there, and she'll be waiting for you to officially set up that next appointment. And you can just give her, well, she has your information already, but if you just set up an appointment, and I have this same slot open for next week if that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really nice meeting you today, Rebecca, and I look forward to working with you.
It was nice to meet you too.